everyone. If you are new to my channel, my name is Lisa Coleman. I'm an early childhood educator running my own family daycare, and I'm also a mother of 4 who I unschooled for the past 14 years. I am also the author of my book, Free Flowing Family. If you are interested in my story of unschooling and also healing and awakening, and a lot of what I share in these videos on this channel is in this book. So if you are interested, you can find a copy on Amazon ebook, or you can get the hard copy. So today's video topic will be 6 ways that I encourage healthy boundaries in childcare. I want to start off by sharing what my definition is of a boundary. We tend to get this a little confused because a boundary can show itself in the form of expression like saying no or cutting somebody out of our lives. But actually, for me, the true definition of a boundary is a sense of self. So in terms of children, it is a child's sense of who they are in the world, what they like, their preferences, their desires, their passions, their goals, their thoughts, their feelings, their sense of who they are as a person in the world. Of course, everybody is going to have their own perspective and definition of boundaries, but for me, in childhood, it is simply a child's sense of who they are in their own little field of energy, their own bubble. So today I'm going to share, as a childcare worker, 6 of the ways that I teach children in my care how to have healthy boundaries. And this is exactly the same way that I've taught my own children. The first one is going to be asking a child's permission before hugging or touching them. So I have found that with my own children, when they were younger, there could be this general perception that you should just hug your family members, no matter if you want to or not. And very early on, I started to recognize signs of when my children didn't want to be grabbed by an uncle or an auntie and cuddled or tickled or anything like that. And I started speaking up for my children and being their voice when I could see that they didn't know how to do this. And that is the role of us as parents, is teaching children how to have healthy boundaries. But when they're too little to do this themselves, we have to step in for them and be their voice. I would do this with certain family members. I'd ask them, please don't tickle my child, such and such. You need to ask them first. Or I would say to my child in front of that family member, you don't have to give them a hug if you don't want to, darling. You don't have to be touched if you don't want to. You don't have to play if you don't want to. And it was hard for me sometimes, and it's going to be hard for some of us if we're not used to speaking up, because if we can't, a lot of the reasons why we can't teach our children how to have healthy boundaries is because we've never been taught as children how to have healthy boundaries. We always had to do what our parents wanted us to do to make them happy, as opposed to what was truth and right for us. So we're going to have to learn what a boundary is for us, and we're going to have to learn to speak our own truth and be authentic and honest in what we want and how we feel if we're really going to make this work with other our children or other people's children. Now, in childcare, I have often witnessed parents trying to make their child say, give me a hug goodbye in the afternoons. Where's your manners? Give Miss Lisa a hug or a high five or a cut, or, say goodbye. Use your words to say goodbye. And often these children, they haven't wanted to. And the parents can get quite upset over this and think that they're being rude or disrespectful. Or another child will come up and want to hug them goodbye and they don't want to, so they push them away, and they might get, a little talking to by their parent, which is okay. But I teach children how to have boundaries by asking their permission first before I hug them or give them a kiss on the cheek or give them a high five. And now I will say that most of the children in my care are quite affectionate. They love my kisses and cuddles, and they come to me often for affection. But I still make sure that if I think they need a cuddle, I will ask them first, is it okay if I cuddle you? And sometimes they'll say no, and I will respect that. And in the afternoons, if their parent is saying, give Miss Lisa a hug, and they are shying away, I will say to that child, it's okay, you don't have to. So very important that children are asked first before they are touched or asked to express words in a particular manner. Number 2, I don't force sharing at childcare. So rather than telling the children to take turns or snatching toys and forcing them to share, I will tell the children to ask permission, ask the other child for permission first. So I'm teaching them that rather than going into their personal space and snatching a toy, because often these young children will think that that's the only way to get that toy, is to go in and just snatch it. So snatching is quite common in childhood. Now, most parents or childcare workers will just sort of get up that child and say, you shouldn't do that, don't snatch. I offer an alternative. I say, if they come to me whining because they want something that another child has, or they're going in to take it, I say, wait, why don't you ask first? Why don't you go and I demonstrate and I say, such and such, can I please have a turn? Can you please share? And 9 times out of 10, believe it or not, the child that's already playing with the toy will often hand that toy over because it feels right and feels good. It's reciprocated. The kindness that is given by asking rather than snatching is reciprocated. So that child, I will often not even expect them to. I'll expect them to say no. Again, this is another boundary, allowing the child to not share if they don't want to. So when I'm telling the child to ask permission, I'm half expecting that that other child will say no, and we need to accept this, that they've asked permission, but they still may get a no, and that's okay. I will then console that child and say, let's go play with something else. Maybe they will want to share later. But often I find that asking permission, or if they don't want to, I will demonstrate it, and I will say, such and such, is it okay if this child has a turn when you are finished? And often they won't even want to finish. They will just hand that toy over. So that's a good way to encourage sharing and healthy boundaries, is to teach children to just simply ask, because I've seen children fighting over something. Once they've turned it around and they've gone up and they've said, please, can I have a turn? They get their turn almost every time. Number 3, I don't force the children at daycare to eat or sleep. So if they have certain food in their lunchbox that they say they don't like, unless the parent is saying, I've seen that they like this food, they're just putting it on, they're just trying not to eat, then I will encourage that child to eat in a playful way, and oftentimes they will. But if they really are fighting to not eat what's in their lunchbox, then I won't make them eat. And I will I will say it's okay, if they're not hungry, they don't have to eat. I do supply a treat every now and then, but often I will say, how about you eat something in your lunchbox first, things that I know they actually like, then they can get that cookie or treat afterwards. Also with sleep, I can generally tell when my children in daycare are tired and are having daytime naps, and when I can see signs of them growing out of that, and I communicate with the parents usually what they're doing at home. I try to match daycare, so if they're not sleeping through the day at home, I tend to not make them sleep through the day at daycare. However, if they are showing signs of extreme tiredness and they do want to lay down, then I let them sleep. If, on the other hand, their parent might want them to have a sleep and they are just wide awake and they're not sleeping, I will put like a movie or a show on and I will say, you can just lay down and rest, but I won't yell at that child and try to force them to go to sleep. I might find a healthy way of encouraging them to fall asleep, but not forcing them to eat when they're not hungry or sleep when they're not tired is teaching children that they need to listen to their bodies and their body clock and their hunger, fullness cues, and, listen to their internal guidance as to what they need rather than an outside voice telling them. Number 4, I allow them the choice to participate in activities or not. So this is the beauty of early childhood education and care, is there's no rules around learning like you will see once children go to school. I am required to do up a program, but I designed the program around activities that I know the children like to do. And on the day, if I say, okay, it's time for our painting activity, and a child doesn't want to paint, they are allowed to not want to paint. I fully believe in children only learning what they're passionate about and doing activities that bring them joy. And this is allowing them to have that boundary of choosing the things that they like to do throughout the day and learn and play based on what they are interested in. Number 5, I allow them to sort out their own fights. So I encourage problem solving wherever possible. Now, this might be frowned upon, hearing that if I see 2 children slapping at each other like this, that I don't go in and yell at them and break them apart immediately. I watch and I observe very closely so that I know what started the fight, who started the fight, and if one child has started a fight, I give the other child an opportunity to set their own boundary. If I just go in and I yell at a child or I separate them, they are not given an opportunity to learn about their boundary, their sense of self, and how to set personal space and boundaries. So I will often see a child get very close to another child in their space, in their face, and the other child will be saying, no, leave me alone, leave me alone. And I will just be watching to see what happens. And if they turn to me, that they don't know what to do, I will say, speak your voice, and you can say no. And even if I see a child that's somebody's getting too close to them, even if I see them gently pushing that other child away, I will tend to just let that play out. I only step in if I can see serious harm occurring, such as a child grabbing a shovel, which I have seen, and they're going to whack another child over the head. I will definitely step in the middle, but I won't say no, I won't yell. I will just simply remove that toy from that child so that they can't hurt the other child, and I may step back a little and allow them to continue the interaction so that they're getting a learning opportunity out of it, and they're exercising their boundaries. As long as there's no danger apparent and it's quite safe to do so, I do encourage children to sort out their own fights, find ways to, and this may end up where they're just slapping each other until one of them might get a poke in the eye, or it just might go that little bit far and one child will walk away. And then, you know, I go in to comfort and console. And, you know, if the other child is unhappy with how they've been treated, I might remind them of the action that they took. Well, if you're going to get into somebody's personal space, they're going to try to say no, and and if you don't listen, that might result in them using some force to get you to listen. Now, if it's getting so escalated and nothing's working, I might have to step in then and try to help them to problem solve. Not all children, especially under 5 years old, can come to a natural conclusion, but most of the times they can. We often think they can't. We often think they need an adult to sort all of their problems and conflicts out for them, but they do not. They are learning themselves, and then this is going to help them to deal with these situations as they continue to arise. The last one is setting my own boundaries. So again, my boundaries, just like children's, are about me and nobody else. So when I'm setting a boundary, I'm not making it about that other person or the child. This is what you've done. You are this, you are that. I'm making it about me. Me. I don't like this. I don't want this. Can you please this? Can you please that? So where I've had to set boundaries with children in childcare is if they are having a tantrum or an intense meltdown and they are turning to me to hit me and scratch me or bite me, which I often, not often these days, but I have faced it often in the past and do still occasionally. Rather than making it about them and you shouldn't do this and you shouldn't do that, you shouldn't hit people, I simply just put my hands up. I allow that child to get their feelings out. I'm present to their feelings. I'm listening. I'm hearing. I'm available. I don't abandon them, but I just say, I don't want to be hurt. You can be upset, but I'm not going to let you hurt me. So another thing that I do is if a child is in a mood and randomly will just yell at me, get me my food, I actually don't like that, and I don't take it personally. It doesn't really affect me. I don't become triggered or react negatively, but it does make me want to be strong in my boundaries. So I will say to that child, I don't like to be spoken to like that. I like to get things for people who ask me nicely. I don't like to do things for people when they speak to me like that. That doesn't feel good to me. That's setting a boundary. That's making it about me and what I like and don't like. It's not getting mad at that child and making what they're doing wrong. And this is also teaching them appropriate ways of speaking to people. So I can't teach children respect or how to speak nicely to people by yelling at them and not speaking nice to them. They learn through example. So setting that example of having my own boundaries. If somebody is screaming around my ears, I might say, can you please go and run around and yell somewhere else because I don't like this. It is too loud for me. I'm making it about me. And I find that these children respect my wishes very quickly. They listen to me very quickly. And this is showing through example how to have these healthy boundaries that are about ourselves and not about others. I hope you have found this video helpful, and I look forward to sharing more about my strategies and methods for working with children. Take care, everybody. Bye.